This is what Muhammad said. The only reason that a Muslim would go to heaven is because there's a Jew or a Christian in their place in hell.
Yeah, that's so
interesting.
Talk about a purposeful misunderstanding of the particular hadith that you are quoting. The hadith that he's quoting, I'll insert right here and you guys can take a look at it. Now, let's go ahead and explain this so Christians don't misrepresent our belief and make us seem as if we are just as bad as them because they believe that God needed to send his innocent son to come and shed his blood for the sins of mankind instead of just holding people accountable for their own sins. There's a hadith that explicitly explains this, and it's that every single person has two abodes. One is in heaven and one is in hell. Now, if they attain heaven, then they will take the abode that is in heaven.
There are several related hadith reports on this topic. Start with the chapter heading and then read the replacement wording. The chapter concerns repentance for someone who kills, even if he has killed a great deal. Murder is part of the framing. Critics did not invent that example. The shorter report says, no Muslim would die, but Allah would admit in his stead a Jew or a Christian in hellfire. That is replacement language. The report says in his stead. Sahih Muslim 2767d goes further. It says, people among the Muslims arrive with sins as heavy as a mountain. Allah forgives them and places Jews and Christians in their stead. So these are not minor mistakes. The report describes sins as heavy as a mountain. But wait, it gets worse. The fuller Hadith Qudsi explicitly says what happens to those Muslims' sins. This is the supplied Darussalam collection, 110 Hadith Qudsi. Report number 8 contains the fuller wording. Hadith Qudsi is a sacred report in which Muhammad attributes the message to Allah. Qudsi describes the attribution. It is not automatically an authenticity grade. This collection separately labels report number 8 sound. Here is the entire supplied page before we zoom in. Take a moment and read the report in context. Muslims arrive carrying on their backs heaps of sins like great mountains. Allah asks who these people are. The angels answer that they are his humble slaves. Then comes the order attributed directly to Allah. The report says the Muslims are bearing on their backs heaps of sins like great mountains. Allah then orders, unload the sins from them. The sins are removed from the Muslims. Then he says, put the same over the Jews and Christians. The report does not merely say Jews and Christians enter hell. It says the Muslims' sins are put over them. And then, let the humble slaves enter paradise by virtue of my mercy. Sins unloaded, paradise granted. The clean transcription repeats the same sequence. Unload the Muslims' sins, put those sins over Jews and Christians. Then let the Muslims enter paradise. The wording lists no category of sin and states no exception. It simply says sins and heaps of sins like great mountains. Even if all three rejected Allah, justice would still require each person to answer for his own deeds. Someone else's unbelief does not make him the Muslim's replacement. And murder is not a random hypothetical. The chapter itself concerns someone who killed a great deal. On the wording alone, killing is not excluded from that mountain of sin. Christianity teaches something fundamentally different. The sinless Christ voluntarily gave himself for sinners. Jesus said, no one takes it from me, but I lay it down of my own accord. These are not the same. In the Hadith report, guilty Muslims have their sins unloaded, Jews and Christians bear the transfer, and the Muslims enter paradise. In the Gospel, the sinless Christ freely offers himself. Forced replacement is not voluntary substitution. Kora showed the shorter report and left out the fuller Qudsi wording. That is not research. That is a scripted lie.